Good afternoon. Here we are again for another roll reveal. This is reveal number 492. 492 is a 1937S plastic tubed roll. I've taken a good short look at this roll. All the coins are nice and red, so it should be a pretty nice one. I'll wait just a couple of minutes for other people to show up because this is an odd time. So it's 3:13 in the afternoon. I told them about 3:15, so I'll wait for another couple more minutes to see if anybody else shows up. But I am ready to go on this roll. This will be the last reveal for today. And then in a couple of hours, I'll be running the singles. We've got a singles show today. Let me get my information together. I think Raymond wanted in. Yeah, we got a few people in here. All right. Hey, Malcolm. Got you in here for the second show. Just waiting for a few more people to show. Got 5 people in the audience now. Waiting for probably 6 or 7. Give us another minute or so to get everything together. Get everybody together anyway. Sean Clay, good day, sir. Working but listening. That works. I can do that too sometimes. Okay, here we go. Coin number 1. This one's going to go to Jim Fletcher. Let's take a look at what we have. Okay, I'm up a little close. Let me back out a little bit. (1937S). Most noted for double dies. Double die obverses, class 6 generally, thickness. I get myself set up here for scoping on copper now that I've moved away from the silver color. There we go. Okay. Looking for repunchment marks, double dies. Anything that tickles our tummy as being something different from the norm. And this design's a little softer than the design that you were seeing on the 1943D. These tend to show up in much later die state. 37 to 39, San Francisco. No really good reason why. It just happens. But they are often in later die state. So there's a nice one for Jim Fletcher. All right, coin number 2 now. Coin number 2 goes to Carl. Let's see. That is machine doubling on the mint mark there. Have to get my eyes acclimated sometimes to seeing what I'm looking at. Rather soft reverse, which is normal for 1937S. Coin number 3 now, Malcolm. Stronger strike, it looks like. Yeah, I've got a bit stronger strike on this coin. it over and take a look at the other side. A little struck through right there next to the A. That's a little pit in the coin without ridges, which means that pit was created during the strike. And that's number 3. Now into number 4. This one's for Paul Hampton. And let's see what we have here. Now, all this little stuff here running off the edge of the mint mark, that is die wear. That's how die wear shows up on these. At first, anyway. That trench dug around the nose, that was done on the hub to redefine the nose because the hub was wearing out. They did this on a number of the different obverses from 1935 up through about 1943. You'll see these trenches around the features on the face sometimes. It's a very normal thing. Well, it may not be normal, but it's very common. Nice big die crack running along the right wheat there. Another die crack. This is a quite late die state die here. Late die state meaning that a lot of the outer features of the letters are losing their form. You have a lot of die flow, a lot of die pitting. You see how these wheat grains are basically losing their definition? That's a very late die state die. This one's for Paul. And next up, Rithy Earth. See what Rithy gets out of here. Yeah, a little tiny bit of machine doubling on the mint mark end on the date. Nothing else. Relatively clean looking coin. You have to imagine that you're looking at this at many times magnification, so it's going to show you every single little tiny flaw that would or would not be visible or even gradable. A lot of these little flaws on the coin are only those that you can see with a microscope. Generally, these coins are actually in much better condition than it might appear. Nice red BU coin there. Alright, coin number 6 now. There's Mr. Adams. Came back in for more. Rithy Yorth, if you are in... No, not Rithy Yorth. Who am I looking for? Oh, yeah. Raymond Longy, if you have returned. Please let me know if you wanted in on the singles pool. I'm going to put you in anyway. There's more machine doubling. You can see flattened doubling on the top of the mint mark and on top of the 3/7 of the date. Remember, for coins of this age, all the way up until 1990, the mint mark was placed into the die long after the numbers were placed into the die. So if you have doubling that is related between the mint mark and the numbers in the date, then you have machine doubling which occurred during the strike of the coin and has nothing to do with the design on the die. That's one of the main ways that you can tell the difference between whether you have a doubled die and a machine doubled coin. Okay, Raymond, I got you in, sir. I'll get you an invoice after we get finished with this. The show will be this evening. Anyone else who wants to get in on the singles pool for this evening, the singles pool are BU wheat cents going back to 1934. They're all wheat cents. They're all uncirculated in condition. And you get them for $3.50 per coin. We even have some earlier mint-marked wheats back to 1934 that are uncirculated, which are worth quite a bit more than the $3.50. In fact, most of them, up until the war, up until around 1943, are worth close to $10 a coin. Here's one for Crispy. So if you want in on that, you need to let me know so I can get that arranged before the show starts. Because that show will begin here in about 2.5 hours. Is Josie moving to the next door of you? When's that going to happen, Jim? You got to see a picture of him with his granddaughter. His granddaughter loves him so much. She just beams with light when she's next to him. Sissy, aren't you already in? I think you are. You're already in it. Here's one for Sissy right here. She spoke up at the perfect time. Dennis, I don't think so, Dennis. I might have. I gotta get my sheet to find out. My sheet's sitting on the other side of the room right now. But I will be sure you are included, Dennis. Does that sound good to you? So, Dennis, if you're not in, I will get you in. There's one for Mr. French. What do we have here? Well, another case of machine doubling, but this one appears that it could be a Class 6 double die also. Nah, maybe not. It's just so die worn, it's hard to tell. Okay, Dennis, I'll get you in, sir. Let me put... I'm putting names down for everybody who wants in on this singles poker chip pool that's going to happen later on this evening. $3.50 per coin. 10 coin maximum. You just let me know that you want in and I can get you in on it. Frostbite wants in for 5, okay. Frostbite, you'll have to let me know if your name has anything to do with computing or computers. I like to know what my people do so I can give them business. This one's going to Eric. A little bit of machine doubling on the top of the BE of Liberty. Because Frostbite, if you do any computer programming or you build computers or anything to that effect, it'd be nice to know what you do. Because, well, I run a business and I need computing. Now number 11, Miss Josie. A little machine doubling on that one too. Process improvement strategies. Part of a dad joke. Mom was a vampire and Dad was a snowman. Okay. That would be the first I've ever heard of snowmen and vampires being married. Oh, crispy. Coin number 12 now, Taco John. Looks like what we're going to end up is a roll full of later die state, yet decent looking, normal 1937D or 37S Lincoln Cents. They all look decent, but none of them appear to have any hub doubling or mint mark varieties. A cool relationship, I get that. As you know, snow is cold and vampires have cool blood. Still looking for our first goodie. Carl, number 14. Why doesn't PCGS list a 43D in their price guide? I don't know. Last time I looked, I thought they did. I guess my question would be, what are you using the PCGS price guide for? Mr. Fletcher? Got nothing yet. I guess we can just enjoy going through the coins. Enjoy looking at them, because I don't think we're running into any die varieties here. I mean, of course, we can keep looking. Why would the 43D be listed at the end of the wheat cents? Different composition. That doesn't make any sense. But, okay. Whatever they want to do. It only took one. That's right. It only took one. That means we could still find one of something in here. Well, this one's a nice earlier die state coin. Very well punched earlier die state here. Don't have anything on the obverse. How about the reverse? Later die state again. No, Sean, that's not true. There's a lot of 43Ds that are graded. A lot of them. Thousands and thousands. Whatever number you see in their population is always wrong. They naturally have no way of being able to control what happens once they grade a coin and count it. It could be cracked out and resubmitted, and they would count it as another coin. So there's no telling really how many coins have been graded, but the number is probably fewer than their overall population report would indicate. The MS-63 is not valued at $20. I mean, that's what their value is for it, but if you look in any realistic price guide, you're going to find that an MS-63 is probably around a $4, $5, $6 coin, but it's not 20. Get $20 out of a 65. This is number 20 for Crispy. It's a nice day to be inside here in eastern North Carolina. Temperature around 55, 60 degrees, which isn't a bad temperature, but it's been raining most of the day. It's just nasty out there. But I know the grass and the plants and all that like to be watered. So today is their day to get watered and my day to stay inside. Yeah, sometimes you'll see these rolls come up and I will be cheap enough on these rolls to actually beat dealer wholesale pricing on the coins. I don't remember how much these were, but they're well under dealer wholesale price because I know that's closer to $12, maybe $15 for an MS-65, which most of these are. 63 to 65, most of these are grade. 37S is not one of your more common rolls to find, so enjoy them while you can, because these are being broken up by the day and there can't be more than a few hundred left. Now, sunny in Ohio is better than cloudy and clammy and rainy in North Carolina, regardless of the temperature. But there is one good thing that it is not doing here. Snow. Definitely don't need any snow around here. Snow causes people to lose their minds here. That's not good. I don't mind the snow. I just mind all the people in the snow. People lose their minds here when they forecast snow. You have a mild forecast for snow, and the groceries disappear from the grocery store. You have a rush on the grocery store at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday. It's like, you serious, people? Well, you think you're going to starve when you can't get out for a day or two? Right. Oh, that one's icky. And it's got some dark spots on it. It's actually stained. They're not spots, it's just staining. Here's number 25. For Parviz now, we're halfway through the roll. Let's see what we get here. Sounds like I'm not seeing anything different. All the same, all the way through. That does mean you have an original roll here, but it's not very good for a roll hunting show when I'm showing 50 of pretty much the same thing. But it at least gives us a good look at 1937S, so we know very much what it looks like next time we're going to go through another roll. That's one thing these shows can be good for. If you get a roll, say, of 1954D, you can go back into my shows and look for a 1954D show and watch a couple of them, and that will help you better determine what is on 1954D to look at, both normal and abnormal. Four to 8 inches in Wisconsin. Well, Wisconsin is where snow is from, so I would think that that's going to be pretty normal for you. I would think. You got snow plows, you got the snow blowers and shovels and all that kind of stuff to deal with. We don't have any of that here. I was raised in areas and lived in areas as an adult where there's plenty of snow. So I have no problem with snow. I'm very familiar with it. It's just there's a lot of people who live around here who are not so familiar with it. You'll get 2 or 3 inches of snow once every 3 to 5 years. And, well, that's just not enough to build up a resistance to being an idiot in the snow. So it's not a pleasant experience when you come to the south and get a few inches of snow. I mean, you guys saw 2 or 3, 4 years ago, I don't remember how long ago it was exactly, but Atlanta was absolutely dumbfounded and completely stalled out with 3 inches of snow. I mean, seriously, 3 inches of snow is barely a flurry to people in the Sierra Nevadas and the Rockies, but 3 inches of snow stop Atlanta dead in its tracks for a week. I lived in Memphis, Tennessee as a younger, and the winter of 85, I believe it was January 3rd, 1985, we had a snowstorm, dumped over 17 inches of snow on Memphis. That shut everything down for a week. Well, that's understandable, though, because you don't have snowplows there. They've got little sand trucks, and their sand trucks, they can't get out and drive in a foot of snow. Nothing can drive very well in a foot of snow that hasn't been plowed. Unplowed snow, especially when you put tracks in it and then get it frozen again, that can be dangerous to anyone. But I'm just glad we generally don't ever have anything like that here in North Carolina, in this part of North Carolina. Now, there's parts of North Carolina where it snows all winter, but they're also 5,000 feet higher up in elevation than I am. I live where we're only 300 feet off the sea level here, 300 feet off of sea level. I live about a 2-hour drive away from the beach, so we're not raised up in elevation so that you should expect to get snow, you know. Well, I can imagine how 1 to 2 inches of snow in Charleston, South Carolina would shut them down. Heck, Charleston's right on the shore. So being right on the shore of the Atlantic in the southern United States, I can see where you would never have snow. And when you do, if it accumulates and you actually have enough to put it out on the grass and see it white, you're going to have a lot of people losing their brains about how cold it is and how dangerous it is. And they get out and the first thing they do is press all the way down on the gas pedal because they think it takes more gas to get through snow. They just don't understand how the behavior of ice works when you put rubber on top of it. This one's Carl here. Coin number 31. Charleston, South Carolina. Were you in the Navy, Brian? Or would you just live in Charleston to live in Charleston? I think Charleston's a really pretty place in the spring. A very pretty place in the springtime. Some of the plantations around there are really nice. Historic sites to go visit. The fort right there at the water. That neighborhood downtown that's all colorful. Very historic neighborhood of very old houses. You live there because it's beautiful. Same reason people like to live in Savannah, Georgia. Savannah is a very nice, beautiful city as well. Very historic. And in case you happen to be into it, very haunted. I took one of those tour rides one time when I went to Savannah, Georgia, where you get on a hearse that's been cut out and opened up into a little trolley bus type thing, and you go around town and the person talks on a little microphone and tells you about all the haunted houses. That was some of the most fun I've had in years doing that. There's machine doubling there on the date again for you. This 1937S. This one turned out a slightly different color than some of the rest of these, but it is from the same roll. Well, this might have been an end coin. Sean was in the Navy. Thank you for your service, Sean. My father, my wife, and my stepson were all Navy veterans. I think I figured a better way around the military than they did. I was in the Air Force. I spent 10 years in the Air Force. Look at that struck through. Big old dent in the shoulder. That's a nice one. Let's see the other side of this one. Oh, KW was in the Navy as well. Welcome you guys very much to the channel. It's like having brothers showing up. And or sisters. I don't short my female veterans. A number of them that I thoroughly enjoyed being in the military with. Here's number 35. This one's going to Ant. I was 10 years in the United States Air Force. I did base communications and communication specialist, radio and other comm specialist for a number of years, and then I moved on to working as a communication support specialist or communication support officer in the AWACS, the E3 Sentry AWACS, working for the 552nd Computer Group out of Tinker Air Force Base, Oklahoma, and the 4405th AWACS Forward in Saudi Arabia. We had our share of fun. Paul Hampton up next. We've all got our war stories. We've all got our fun stories. I've got both. I had some really good times and I had some really crappy times when I was in the military. Saw my share of things I don't think anybody should want to see. Been to my share of places I don't need to go back to because I don't think I dropped anything important enough to bother going back. Saudi Arabia would be one of those places. They can have that country. I don't want to have anything to do with it. And if it came down to having to bow to them to get oil to drive, I would rather drive horses. I don't mind them. Let them have what they have. That's what they want. Even if that means war, they can have war all they want. Looks good from my house. Just don't come to my country and cause trouble because you don't like us. Carl, no, sir. 37S roll has been empty so far of anything other than decent-looking coins. We've got a whole lot of coins in here who have a little bit of machine doubling. We've been pointing out the difference between the machine doubling and actual hub doubling, but there's not been much else occur during this roll of 1937S. Very typically soft design for a lot of these, as is typical with 1937S. They are all decent BU coins, even though they look dull under the scope. That's just the way they're going to look under the scope. They've got better. Generally, most of these have at least some amount of decent luster on them, nonetheless. Just not finding any die varieties, which, yeah, you got to expect that at least 3/4 of the rolls you look at are not going to have anything in them. Because if every roll had die varieties wouldn't have any real value. Would you say right? I think you would. You are not wrong. We've been kind of talking about our military experiences. KW, my wife was a hospital corpsman in the Navy. My father was a ship corpsman, field corpsman on a ship. My grandfather was a personnel specialist, worked with the people who dropped the 82nd Airborne in Europe on the C-47, so he was a member of the Army Air Corps. My other grandfather was an infantryman in the United States Marine Corps, and he was with the 1st Marine Division, fought in the Battle of Guadalcanal, lost part of a hand from it. My uncle was a specialist in the Army. And my other uncle was a security policeman in the U.S. Air Force. So I spent a little while carrying on a family tradition. That family tradition stopped with me. My son is not in the military and has no interest, and he has no children. So to all things there comes an end eventually. I was the first and probably the last Eagle Scout in my family. I had a cousin who was in the Cub Scouts for a little while. And my son was in the Cub Scouts and in the Boy Scouts, made it to the rank of life. Was nothing more than a service project away from becoming an Eagle Scout, and never did the service project, turned 18 and left. Now we're up to coin number 44 now. I've not seen any die varieties in this roll, which is a little bit on the disappointing side, but it's 37S. You're not going to find something every day. I didn't see much of any of the space program on TV or otherwise. I remember watching one of the moon landings. I believe it was in 72. I was born in 68, so I wasn't old enough to pay attention to the moon landing in 69. Of course, you know there's people out there that say none of that's real anyway. I think they're flat off their rockers. But there are a number of people who contend that the moon landing never actually happened. The 43DI looked like 1DO16. Well, I appreciate that. If Eric is around, he'll be sure to take a look at that for sure. Hello, Pamela Walsh. Have another Wisconsinite here. Got everybody in the snow up there taking a peek at the coins in this roll. Anybody who happens to be out there watching who's not yet registered to bid in the auctions or to buy spots in these rolls may certainly do so. You can register for free. It's absolutely free. No cost to you. No obligation at all. Just send me an email. The email will be to coppercoinspayments@gmail.com. coppercoinspayments@gmail.com. Send me your name and the email address that you use for PayPal, and I will put it on record so that if you get a chance to come by and purchase spots in these rolls on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, or you want to come by one of the auctions on Sunday or Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, you may do so, and you will already be registered to bid, so you can just start bidding on items. Anyone who joins becomes a part of the Copper Coins family. We kind of take that seriously because we really watch out for each other. We've had some people come and go, but we've got a number of people who've been part of the Copper Coins family on a regular basis for years now. Oh, Jimmy Hoffa's still alive? Well, happy for him. He'd be almost 100 years old now, wouldn't he? Because he was in his late 30s, I think, late 30s, early 40s when he disappeared back in the 60s. That'd make him almost 100 years old now. That'd be like saying Elvis is alive. Elvis would be 92 if he was alive today. I've been through La Crosse, Wisconsin. That's right on the river, across from Minnesota. Went through there and then took the highway down through Wisconsin to Dubuque, Iowa. Crossed back across at Dubuque. I guess I was in northern Illinois at that point. Went to Iowa City that evening. We were just poking around. We were coming back from a convention, a meeting of some sort that my wife had in Minneapolis. And we decided just to take the highways going south and take a peek at what we could see. Ended up going through Red Wing down that direction along the river. Crispy gets coin number 50. This is the last coin in this roll. This will be the last reveal I'll be doing today, but I will be doing the singles pool a little bit later on. You need to let me know now if you want to get in on it. It'll be one heck of a time. You get singles, BU singles from 1934 up to 1958. All of them are wheat cent singles. We play some games. We do some other things. It's a really fun show. It's $3.50 a spot, maximum of 10 spots per person if you want in. Just let me know now. And that's it, boys and girls. That's the end of that roll. We turned up nothing in the 37S roll, but we had fun doing it. At least I did. There we go. Well, I appreciate it, folks. All you new folks, make sure you just keep showing up to the different shows. You'll get used to us after a while. And well, I'm sure that you'll enjoy what you see. So here we are. Eric, we've got nothing in this roll that I can see. Paul only saw 3 coins and never got a notification. I'm so sorry about that. With the notifications, I think it's a good idea to uncheck the bell and recheck the bell once in a while, because I think YouTube loses its mind. At least that's what I've heard. YouTube loses its mind and it can't seem to keep you, well, in check. So you keep them in check by making them understand that you want to keep receiving those notifications. There will be the show this evening. I'm going to let you know now. There will be a show this evening, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I think we're doing 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Let me go back and take a look. Be sure. I've got it scheduled in 2 different shows, but I'm not sure it's going to take 2 different shows for us to get this done. But the first one I have at 6:30 p.m. today is Wheat Cent Coin Pool number 2A. It's uncirculated wheat cents. We've got about 300 coins altogether. I'll probably be breaking it up into 2 shows. But it will start at 6:30 this evening. 6:30, that's Eastern Time, 6:30. I live in Eastern North Carolina, so everything I do is Eastern Time. I appreciate it, folks. Thank you guys for coming around. And I'll see you this evening, 6:30.